Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
But let's get started this morning by looking at CARICOM fulsomely, with yesterday being CARICOM Day. And joining us to start this discussion going is Barbados Youth Ambassador to CARICOM. That's right, Meghan Theobalds. Meghan, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Pearson. How are you today?
I'm doing well today. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Yesterday was CARICOM Day. I mean, can it get any better?
You're absolutely right. You're bright and breezy so early on a Monday morning. Before we get into CARICOM Day, how were you treated during the storm as it passed by?
The Friday we didn't have any electricity, but I think by 9:30 that evening we were one of the lucky ones, so we got back our electricity early. Unfortunately, Java, my partner, he's still suffering without electricity, so hopefully he gets back his today, which is why he's not available to join us today. But he does send his best wishes and says hello to you, Pearson.
Thank you so much, Java. Good morning to you. When we get a chance to watch this again, we hope to see you soon, Java. Now, yesterday was CARICOM Day, and for you, because you were born after CARICOM Day was inaugurated, so what does it mean to you to be able to celebrate CARICOM Day?
I think it's an occasion for all of us to come together to recognize our shared experiences in culture, history, even recent events with such like the climate change. Everything that we do, we have a common thread, there's a commonality. And for me, it's just an opportunity to celebrate that unity, that togetherness, because CARICOM is something that we have seen that we actually need. It's not just an option anymore. As times are getting a little bit harder, there are more and more threats. We're realizing that as a unit, as a regional bloc, we stand a better chance of overcoming a lot of our obstacles than we do as individual nations. So for me, it's just an opportunity to celebrate that unity, that togetherness, and hope that we can make a bigger mark on the world stage.
Do you think that enough young people of the region though know about CARICOM Day or have a sense of understanding as to what CARICOM Day really represents?
I think that we're getting there. I'm not going to be entirely pessimistic, but I'm not also going to have my head in the clouds. I do think we could do a better job of showing more about CARICOM Day. I think personally what would go a long way towards that is if it was a regional public holiday. And I know I'm not the only one that shares that sentiment. I think that would go a long way to actually create an awareness about the day, the ability to have a lead up to the day. What does it mean? What does it signify? I saw yesterday on my timeline on Twitter, on social media, the picture of the founding fathers at the meeting. I guess it would have been 1973. And it was quite an impressive picture of Norman Manley, of our prime minister, the prime minister from Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana. That was an impressive picture, but there are not many people who've seen things like that. So I think that there's room for showing our history. There's room for celebrating our history, especially among young people who might be struggling to see the benefits, to see why it matters, to see how it matters to them on a day-to-day basis.
Oftentimes we hear of public holidays. I know what you're suggesting that CARICOM Day ought to have been a public holiday, but on public holidays, people use the opportunity for fun and frolic. But to get this started, it would require a little bit more than fun and frolic, a greater understanding.
Yes.
So how can we, from your point of view as the CARICOM Youth Ambassador, begin to build that awareness about CARICOM Day and make it real for a lot of people in a very real way?
I think it starts from young. I think when we are in school, we learn so much about our history from one aspect, and then up until a certain point, if you're not interested in history, you don't really get that exposure. So I think there's room for it at school, but also I feel like there's also room for it at a symbolic level. Like if you go outside and you see our CARICOM flag, like how many people know what the CARICOM flag looks like? I think that's something that can be like everywhere. You don't need to have it a structure, a formal structure for something like that. I think like if you are a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old and you see this flag somewhere by an official building, you're like, wait, what is that flag? What does it mean? It starts conversation even at a young age. When I had the opportunity to live in Europe, I would see the French flag, and I would often see the European Union's flag. So you had an idea that there was a dual identity among these people. And I think that that's something that we can also implement here. Obviously, it requires a lot of strategy and logistics, but I do think it's something that will go a long way towards creating that conversation, because I think once we start conversation, then people start to ask questions, and that helps create awareness.
So in creating this awareness, I know yesterday in celebrating CARICOM Day, you young people, operated it within your space, the digital space. So let's talk a little bit about the activity that was had yesterday for celebration of CARICOM Day. What happened?
Well, yesterday we did a digital festival that was shown on Facebook and on YouTube. Basically what we decided, Java and myself, is that we wanted a chance to celebrate young regional talent. Obviously, with the COVID limitations, that couldn't have been done in person, but that meant that we could then expand it to across the region. So we got content from St. Vincent, from Jamaica, from Trinidad, from Barbados, of course, everywhere that we could get content, because the idea was to celebrate young people, showcase the talent that exists. We know that it exists. We know that they're itching for a platform to showcase their talent. And we, as advocates of culture and of young people, we wanted very much to put that on showcase. And we're very proud of the effort that we put in to showcase everything out, that the talent across the region. And we just hope that next year we can do it even bigger and better.
And so do I. I really hope so, because I think it needs to be really into the blood and the veins of every Caribbean person, so that we get a better understanding of who we are as a people and how connected we are. Because there's still that little thing called insularity that is preventing a lot of us from moving forward. So here it is now. Meghan sits around the table with decision makers. Today is actually the beginning of CARICOM Heads of Government. And so Meghan's voice is going to be heard. What's Meghan going to say to our leaders of the region?
I think our leaders can do well to listen to young people. I think that young people right now are dealing with a lot: mental health issues, unemployment issues, legitimate concerns about our future. Right now, if you're not aware, the Gulf of Mexico is on fire. So these types of things have real ramifications, and oftentimes it will be us, the young people, who have to deal with it. So I think it's time to have us at the table in a meaningful way, probably move away a little bit from tokenism and have meaningful dialogue about what it is we want and need, not just want, but what we absolutely need to have the same type of future that our parents had, and the future we know that our parents want to give us, and what we want to give to our children.
You're operating too in a space where there's so much other noise, really, you know, whether it's the pandemic, the effects of volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, the flooding that's been happening as a consequence of Elsa, and so economic challenges to begin with. How do CARICOM Youth Ambassadors really get their voice heard about the things that interest CARICOM youth?
I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult because there's a lot going on right now and everyone has competing priorities. But as CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, we definitely realize that we need to lean on each other to amplify our voices, which is something that we are trying to do a better job of leaning on one another, of just showing up for the others and making sure that what the message that they want to have shared is shared across all platforms. And also with regards to the issues of young people, we are their voice. So I personally take it as my duty as CARICOM Youth Ambassador to make sure that the questions that we have are posed to the appropriate people. So recently we had the privilege of actually interviewing the Ambassador Comishong, and it went well. And I took questions directly from young people via social media so that I can pose those questions to the Ambassador. And thankfully he was so open. So there is always that opportunity to ask officials. So I believe that at this point, once you have the opportunity and the responsibility, you should definitely act on it. So that's what I try to do. That's what I know Java tries to do. So together is a 360 effect, and we hope to perhaps bring about more change that way.
And I want to join you with this because, you know, I think it is time now that we elevate our CARICOM Youth Ambassadors to the status of a regular ambassador, and we begin to treat them in the way that we would treat our regular ambassadors, where we hear them and we hear them commenting on things of great importance as well. And I want to challenge you, Meghan and Java, both of you, to really step forward now and let's hear you more. Let's hear you more talking and advocating for change and the change that you want to see, because you know you have, well, for sure we can speak to Mornin Barbados. We have our full support and in providing the space for you to be heard. So don't be bashful. Want to hear more of you and more of your thinking as we go forward. But I do fully agree as we begin to wrap up on the whole question of it being a flag, being alongside our national flags so that everybody see that we're all in this together. And I don't want to just use a catchphrase because it's a catchphrase, but literally that we're all in this together. And we recognize that we stand up as a CARICOM people. And I think once we can get that off the ground, we are well on our way towards making the change I know that you're looking for as well. Meghan, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, much success in all that you do. And I encourage you to come back real soon, Meghan. You have a voice to be heard.
Of course. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And as we leave, let's take a look at what Java had to say as we celebrated, if we can, what we celebrated CARICOM Day yesterday, can we?
Fellow citizens of CARICOM, if we know one thing within the Caribbean region is that we love to celebrate what we have. For this year's CARICOM Day, despite the presence of two crises, the need to celebrate is no different. So for 48 years, we've been able to celebrate that diversity as on July 4th, 1973, out of the ashes of British imperial decolonization, our regional forefathers decided to make formal the beautiful community which we now experience today, the Caribbean community or CARICOM.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.